Stand by. We'll be going live in just a minute.
Megtooth Sabers requires a lot of work on engineering, drilling, smoothing, tapping, setting, imagining, cutting, stripping, twisting, dipping, tin it, pin it, wire it, fire it, lock it, blast it, swing it, bash it. Megtooth Sabers.
And bam, we're live. And we haven't been live in a while, and appreciate y'all's patience with me. I guess I talked to Birch tonight. There's a lot. I mean, I've had a lot going on at work. There's no doubt about that. Had a lot of saber projects on my bench, and number one, for anybody that's watching this, that you have a project with me, and there's not that many of you. There's only like 2 of you, 3 including a repair. I'm going to finish those repairs, but and after that, I think I'm pretty much done with saber commissions. I'm not going to do saber commissions anymore. I'm absolutely through with them. I had a project that kind of turned into a nightmare on me, and I'm just not so sure right now that this is right for me. With everything else I've got going on at the home, Jennifer and I, we've been in the process of buying another business, and that's been taking up a lot of my time getting the room ready for that. So, like behind me, the room is kind of crazy, and we've had to move a lot of stuff around. So this room is like totally empty now in preparation for us moving the new business in here. And that the saber, well, there's been a couple of sabers that have caused some nightmares for me, and some of it is on OS 6 and in edit mode, and there's nothing wrong with OS 6 and edit mode. If you read the directions and you know how to use it, there's nothing wrong with it. But some of it is on some of it's on the users. And in Saberland, it's always been difficult. Hey, Robert Myers. In Saberland, it's always been difficult, to. It seemed like as the soundboards got more and more complex, and the instruction manuals got thicker and thicker and thicker, there were fewer and fewer people that were like fully digesting everything that was out there. And I think Profi has gotten to the point where it can do so much, that there's so much that Profi can do that it almost becomes a difficult task staying on top of all that. And, you know, for years, the Facebook groups have been difficult for me because there's a lot of people that will sign on to those Facebook groups and they'll shortcut reading the directions. So right off the bat, if somebody posts on the Profi board support group or the open source support group, hey, how do I upload config to my Saber? I know right away that person hasn't read one thing. If they did, they wouldn't be asking that question. Of course, they all say, oh, I've read the manual. No, you haven't. If you read the manual, you wouldn't be asking that question. So, you know, the Facebook instant gratification, let me go get an instant answer, the lazy way out, to me, I'm a Generation X guy. So to me, I've always been like, read the directions, you know, when all else fails, read the directions. And also, you know, even knowing that some people have difficulty reading, we'll put videos out there. Cole Weathers, Brian Connor. Oh yeah. I'm glad to hear that, Robert. I'm glad to hear the Saber's doing awesome. It's not just look, some of this has been frustration around Robert Myers DV6, but this is not just Robert Myers. This is just me in general. Between my day job, and we've had 2 homicides since I got back from Disney World, so, you know, I'm giving away kind of what I do for a living there. So my day job's been really busy. Jen and I are trying to buy this business, and it's just hard. Then you have Sabers come in. Like what I wanted to do tonight is, you know, this is a repair job that I have, and this is kind of like explains. And I'm not going to dime out because this Saber belongs to one of our users, and I'm not going to dime him out. But the Saber comes back to me like this, and hey, the buttons don't work, and this one has buttons in the clamp card, you know, and basically the button sits like that underneath the clamp. Now, in the instructional video for this Saber, I never showed it was okay to take the clamp off or take anything apart from the upper, because when you do, you run the risk of damaging this wiring harness going to these switches that are under the clamp. And so this Saber came back to me, the buttons don't work. The buttons don't work, but I'm going to fix it. The buttons don't work because the wires got ripped out. The buttons don't work because my wiring wasn't right. The buttons don't work because they were ripped out. So now I have to repair this. There was that, and there was some other things that kind of drove me to this. Now, I'm still going to build lightsabers, y'all. I love working on soldering lightsabers. I love programming Profi boards. I love Profi and Profi OS. And I know Brian Connor's on here. I just think I think it's really to the point now where it's gotten too complex. To me, it's not complex. I mean, edit mode and the Profi OS workbench, I understand it, but I have read Fernando's Countdown to Profi OS page. And I mean, I've read that page, you know, 3 or 4 times on all the sub pages and subgroups, and then I was involved in the testing, so I understand OS 6, but it took a lot of time to do that. And OS 6 it can be complicated. And yeah, you can screw up your Saber with edit mode and Web USB workbench, but here's the problem. So in an effort to save space on one of the lightsabers that had these issues, I basically copied presets in edit mode and then added new fonts. So when the customer got the Saber, the customer went into edit mode and actually made some changes that did weird things to the Saber. And it's a simple matter of deleting all the any files, and then you can erase whatever, you know, the end user did with the lightsaber in edit mode. And that's exactly what I did. But also, as a consequence of deleting the any files, all the 20 gazillion other presets where I had copied existing presets were also deleted. So then I had to go and rewrite a config file that included all those presets, and it was pretty time consuming. It was pretty frustrating. It wasn't just that one, you know, it's also another Saber that I'm working on, and of course that one behind me. But yeah, so I was talking to Jeff Birch tonight, and Jeff Birch, he was building a crossguard at the time, and he was emailing me a bunch of questions. The customer was really wanting quite a bit out of that crossguard saber, and Birch was emailing me questions, and I think we got that saber doing what the customer wanted it to do. But it was shortly after that Birch pretty much erased his channel and dropped off the face of the planet and pulled a Shamim. And I knew a lot of what he had going on, and I understood his frustrations, and I think I'm at that point. But I'm not gonna like delete my channel and delete all these videos that I put up there, because I think that's pointless. But as far as being, depending on this as a business, or viewing lightsabers as, hey, I'm gonna make money, because I'm not making any money at this. In the last few sabers, I'm out more money than I've made. So this is not really a successful business model. For this to be a successful business model, it's just, you would have to charge so much money that people couldn't afford these lightsabers. And then you have the market that's been flooded with these Chinese sabers. And no offense to the resellers and everybody that's selling these Chinese sabers with Profi board in them, but it's flooded the market with more Profi board users, and then the sabers aren't really doing what they want, and they want them to send them to people like me to fix them. And then you have people on the OS group saying, oh, well, you shouldn't be charged for that. Nobody should be charging you for programming a saber. That should be free. And I'm thinking to myself, well, if I have like 6 or 7 hours of my time into programming the saber using knowledge that I learned off the internet because you didn't want to go read about it, I guess my time and my knowledge is worth nothing. And that's the way the market is. And it's crazy. Yeah, Cole, yeah, that's kind of where I'm at as well. Now, I have programmed a saber that it was on OS 6, but I disabled edit mode. But it was still on OS 6, and I think that worked out okay. But I definitely disabled edit mode and color change direct. Now you can still change colors in the Profi workbench, but not in edit mode, not on the saber, because it was causing some problems. So yeah, that's kind of where I was at. Hey, Mike Undershit. Yeah. And that's kind of what I was saying, Mike. So you have all these people saying, oh, well, I want to send my saber to you, but, they say on these groups that nobody should be charging for money for that. It's free. And I'm kind of like, yeah, I'll send your saber right back to you. That's not happening. I'm not spending 6 or 7 hours time on a saber. Yeah, I guess, Brian, no, you don't have to use edit mode, and I don't think this is Profi OS 6 at all. And I totally understand that you don't need edit mode. In fact, I did the video on how to update your saber without edit mode using just Profi OS 6 because it's possible. And you still have the web USB workbench, and you can use Brian Connor's buttons or Dimitri Stock's buttons. There's so many options out there available. But, what's popular, what's in demand right now, because of all of Fernando's videos, is OS 6.7 with edit mode and Profi OS workbench. And a saber at that level, while I can run it and I understand it, I don't know that just a normal person that buys a lightsaber and sees a lightsaber with 2 buttons is ready for that amount of stuff. You could get so lost in those menus, and like one of the customers said, hey, it's scrolling through the fonts abnormally. It's just going crazy. And, I am 100% sure that saber was in edit mode when that was occurring. And I don't even think the customer knew the saber was in edit mode. But, all this is kind of, I'm just going to throttle back and back down. Now, that doesn't mean I'm not going to be here on the bench or not doing videos every now and then. I don't think you're going to be seeing videos out of me every Monday, but certainly, shooting some install videos and stuff is what I want to do. Yeah, Brian Connor, you're 100% right. You can take a an OS 5 config and throw it into operating system 6.7, and that 5.9 config is going to work just fine. Especially if you add the folders, the common folders onto your SD card and onto your config file. OS 6.7 can still run normal 5.9 stuff. So I'm not knocking Fernando or Edit Mode or ProfiOS in any way. I just want to make that clear. But to me, it just seemed a lot simpler. And I worry that I'm kind of part of the audience that pushed the ProfiOS in this direction, because we were wanting the end users to be able to mess around with their settings. Because like the old Profi Sabers or Teensy Sabers that I would send out, I did the programming. And if the customer didn't like my programming, they were kind of stuck unless they figured out how to program the soundboard. And, Fernando figured out a way to give the end users the ability to not be stuck with what their installer did. And in a very intuitive way, I thought it was intuitive, but, a beginner Saber user that's not been keeping up with the OS, that's not been reading all the directions and watching all the videos and looking at all of Fernando's webpage, can get lost very easily in edit mode, to the point where they think they're running their Saber, but they're actually in some menu or submenu of edit mode, and then their Saber's not doing what they want it to do, and that can happen. Yeah, so I think ProfiOS 6. This is not because of ProfiOS. This is me. This is a personal deal. This has to do with the Saber market being flooded with Chinese Sabers. People expectations. They want a $2,000 Saber, and they want me to build it for nothing, and that's impossible. Y'all have seen the Mentor Graphics that I built. And I had a guy email me the other day, and he goes, "Hey, I saw that video of your Mentor Graphics. I would really like that. Could you build me a Saber like that for around $300? And I was like, no, I cannot build that Saber for $300. The chassis alone is going to be $1,500. And he balked at that and told me that was a ripoff, and I was a ripoff, and blah blah blah. And I was like, well, I'm sorry, but for those of y'all that have priced those Mentor chassis, that I'm telling the truth, that those chassis printed in all metal are expensive. The Goth Master chassis now for the Graphics, you're talking about $1,500 to $2,000 depending on the metals you get it printed in. So, I guess people can go order their Sabers from these Chinese companies and figure it out on their own right now. And I know there's other installers out there, that are really building a lot of Sabers. I know Jeremy Puckett at Solo Sabers, he's churning out videos. I mean, I saw he sent out 3 or 4 videos today. And I highly doubt Jeremy's programming on OS 6 with edit mode. I still think he's using his 5.9 configs in an old version of the ProfiOS. Thank you, Smooth Jazz family. And we'll get your Saber back to you soon. I have, I have your Saber in queue on my workbench, so we'll get that done. But, yeah, I just kind of was there. And, between the madness of my day job, which is very stressful, and buying this business, which is going to help my wife and me out quite a bit, at least once all the business is paid off. But, initially it's going to be kind of crazy. I don't need these pressures from being a Saber installer. Now, this doesn't mean, so for like anybody that I built this Saber for, I will still fix your Saber if something goes wrong with it, 100%. Or if you need the program adjusted, send me your Sabers. But I'm not going to create any broader of a customer base than lightsabers. I don't want too many more of my lightsabers out there that I owe that to. And I have, like, here's a Saber that I built, and I built this several years ago, and this is this come back to me because the chassis is broken in it. And I'll show you the chassis. So the chassis is broken in this Saber, and I have to replace the chassis in this. And this is an older chassis that only took like a 24mm speaker for the flagship. You can see the chassis is broken, and it's got the smaller speaker, but I have a new chassis for the Saber that holds a 28mm Saber speaker. So I'm going to be repairing that Saber with the new chassis and the 28mm speaker. So, you know, I mean, there's some upgrades to existing Sabers I had out there. I've got a Graflex over here that I'm working on with a full metal chassis. That the full metal chassis got broken, and you're looking at that full metal chassis going, how did you break that? And, you know, I don't know, but I'm going to fix it. But yeah, these full metal chassis are expensive. They're very, very expensive. And I just think the Chinese Sabers that have flooded the market just had people's expectations just really low. This is why, and I know not all my viewers are American. You know, I know Max is from Australia, and I know some of our other viewers are from Canada. You know, like Birch. Oh, Jennaru. Oh, it's okay, Jennaru. It's okay. You know, I'm still going to do lightsabers, but right now, I just think it's time for me to dial back and not try to make a living off this, but just enjoy the hobby and enjoy building and programming lightsabers. And, you know, if I build and program one that I like, and I don't need a Sabers in my collection, so I'm going to kind of show you all stuff. So stand by. I wanted to show y'all. So there's my collection as it stands right now. I want to come over to it. So I had to move this over here, but, you know, here I have my two flagships, and this is the one that has Profi 3.7. This is the Mark 1 I haven't built yet, with the chamber in it. This is my DV6. This is my personal DV6 with, this was my Profi 2.2 Beta Saber. And, you know, and then up here I have my Graflexes. This is my TFA Graflex with Teensy Saber. My ESB Graflex, which was my Profi 1.5 Beta Saber. And behind that is my Mentor Graflex. So you can see the Graflexes are up at the top. Now, the rest of this room is empty. And it's kind of crazy because we're in the middle of construction. So I'm kind of showing you guys, look at all this is empty. These walls used to be full of stuff. And now it's all fading away. So, you know, there's Kylo. Now this corner here, this is where the business is going to start. And it's going to be wrapping around here. So there's going to be like a factory setup. And also I lost the desk here. So we got a lot of stuff going on. But, you know, the office is still in transition. So even doing the live tonight's been kind of crazy because, you know, I gotta finish all this up. So, see, Jen's on there. So what do you guys want to do? I've been on for about 15 minutes, but we can go over here to the workbench and we can fix this lightsaber, or we can call it a day. What do you think we need to do? Yeah, Bobby's going to have to start a GoFundMe to get a full metal chassis. Yeah, they're expensive. They're not cheap, that is for sure. So, oh yeah, so it's going to be very cool. You know, Jennaru's going to be able to work from home, which that's awesome. At least one of us will have some sanity. And it's a very good business. Jen's already been working there. She's already been basically working the business for the last 2 years. But now instead of being an employee, we're going to be an owner. And, you know, that's really going to be cool. Jen wants me to fix something. So let's fix something. That's what Jen says. So let's work on the Saber and stop talking about the press and stuff. So, hey, while I do this, I'm going to switch y'all to Windows share so you guys can't see what I'm doing here, because you guys don't want to see this camera move. You don't want to see that either. That's horrible. We'll just put it there until we get y'all moved. And once I get y'all moved, I'll bring you back on. And I know the mic's going to be freaking out. Y'all just bear with me. And crazy. All right, let me see what I got here. All right, sweet, perfect. So let me switch y'all back. Oh yeah, I'm not gonna quit building sabers at all. I enjoy this stuff too much, y'all. I mean, I really, really, really love this. So this is a Graflex that we're working on, and we're trying to fix the switch assembly here. And so basically how I run my switch assembly, so you guys can see it, is, you know, number one, I leave it so the wires are all on one side of it, so, you know, we can sneak the clamp in and out. But the bottom line is that I run my green and my yellow and white ground wires off this one switch, and then I run them over what's gonna, you know, when this clips down on the clamps. I don't know if you guys can see that, but this clamp actually clips down inside of there like that. So the yellow and white wires from the auxiliary switch, the back switch for me, oops, I have that backwards because this is a ESB. So that's how anal retentive I am about the different versions is, you know. So here the back switch on ESB is the auxiliary switch. And the yellow and white wires go through this switch assembly. And they go over this lever encapsulation there. And then they go back out. And then I connect my white wire to this second switch, which is a power. That's going to be our common ground on both switches. Now what I've got to do on this one is I've got to lift it out, because we've got to solder our green wire onto this power switch. But before I do that, I want to tin this green wire. Have fun watching a movie. Yeah. I didn't even say this was your saber. You're diming yourself out. You're diming yourself out. But yeah, fortunately, I mean, I was just worried it was the soundboard, but it's not the soundboard. You know, we can fix it. My old man is a television repairman. He's got this ultimate set of tools. I can fix it. Anybody know what I'm talking about there? All right. Now, I'm going to have to bend this switch out a little bit. You guys aren't going to be able to see this. I'm trying to do this without ripping my white wire out of there any worse than it already is. All right. Now, let's get some solder on my tip, which I need to talk about tips here in a minute too. I'll do that tonight. So, where was I? We're trying to solder the green wire onto this switch. So, we need to bring the green wire up through the hole where it's eventually going to lie. And we're going to solder it onto that switch, just like that. And it's very small, very tiny stuff. These switches are really small. And I'm trying to get it back down in there without ripping wires. Oh, there we go. Oh, down in there. All right, so now that we have that in, now let me cut some shrink wrap. Shrink wrap, shrink, shrinkaroo. Yeah, just relax, Smooth Jazz family. My old man is a television repairman. He has his ultimate set of tools. I can fix it. You can't fix this car, Spicoli. I can fix it. I can fix it. All right, so now, see, I cut some shrink wrap here. So let's put some shrink wrap on my ground wire that's coming from my soundboard out of this hole. And we're going to put the ground wire we're going to attach it to our ground wire here, which is very, very tiny. Not going to have much space. This is very, very tiny because I just don't leave a lot of wire there. I just don't. And then I'll put shrink up over this joint. There. Now we're going to put shrink over this joint, like that. And we're going to heat up that real quick. Okay, now, last wire is my yellow. So, our yellow wire that comes out of our auxiliary switch is right here. And I'm going to twist it. Oh no, see, that's going to be a bitch. Because this wire went under strain. So, you know, it was already weakened, as you can see, because it broke really easily. It shouldn't, that wire shouldn't break that easily. So now I'm going to resolder that. Stand by, let me tin it. I got stuff about soldering irons I want to show you. I know y'all are kind of zoomed out, but I'm going to try to zoom y'all in a little bit so you guys can kind of see what I'm doing. I'm working on this ground wire right here, and I'm going to need to cut another piece of shrink and put that over there. And then I don't need that much wire, so I'm going to cut some of that off. And then we're going to solder that. I'm going to try to get it in a position where you guys can see it, hopefully. We're going to shrink, shrink, shrinkaroo. Okay, now the last one. And I need a little piece of shrink on here first, because I got to connect these yellow wires. And then we'll be able to stuff all them back in there and put the clamp back on. So there's actually a place where these wires rest in there, and you can take this clamp off if you know what you're doing. You can take the whole saber apart if you know what you're doing without ripping these wires, but somebody took the clamp off and they didn't know what they were doing. Oh, that wire doesn't want to go over there. Wire doesn't want to go over that joint. So let's slide this off, because I think the heat shrink got to that a little bit. And I'll get back to y'all in the comments in just a second. We gotta talk about soldering iron tips too. Oh, I need a new piece of shrinkaroo. I don't want to cut too much of that wire off because, you know, there's not much left of it. We're working right here on this joint. A little yellow. Y'all can't see it because you're kind of at a tough angle. And again, I'm not adjusting the camera tonight, so it's a perfect you know, scene for you guys. So I'm just trying to yeah, Jen kind of talked me into doing the live tonight. Oop, I didn't want that shrink to slide down like that. Oh, bye-bye, shrink. Shrink just went in there. What are you going to do? Jen talked me into doing this live tonight. And see, I got to get this saber to move. I'm trying to get this where you guys can see it. Oh, rabbit ears. I don't like standing on the rabbit ears. Alright, now let's try to, oh, there we go, we got that slid down. Alright, now, that should be quasi-repaired. We've got to put it in its final position, but let's turn the saber on. And now let's try to ignite it. And see, it's working. I'm going to zoom out here. Zoom out, no, zoom out. Alright. So, it's on. And we can twist and get it to turn off. Let's try to cycle to the next font.
Graphics, TFA HD.
And you can see, you know, all the things are still working. And then we're going to ignite. Yay! Well, it is now fixed, Sarmiento, and you didn't have to dime yourself out. So, I'm going to show you something here. If you do this, if you repair this saber, if you ever want to do this with this saber, you just have to make sure that you pull this out of the clamp and then you pull the clamp off, but that is not approved. If you do that, you void my warranty. So you cannot do that. So what I'm going to do right now is I'm going to stuff these wires back in here and prepare to put the clamp back on. And, you know, we'll make sure that we retain functionality here. And sometimes it's kind of difficult. So we're going to put the clamp back on. And there is the clamp screw. So I know we got to get it right there. So I gotta try and work these wires down in there a little bit without cutting them. And I know that's about where we're going to be on the final product. And then we're going to move the clamp in here where it needs to be. Sneak it in under our switch assembly. And then we know that that needs to be about right there. And we know that our screw is going to be right there. And people argue about whether or not that screw is accurate or whatever, but there you have it. Now, let's put in our clamp card.
The Force is with you, young Skywalker.
Like so.
But you are not a Jedi yet.
Still going to have some adjustment to do in there. And this is the tricky part.
Hello there.
But I'll get it done. because that really doesn't want to sit down nice and firm in there like we want it to. There. That looks like it's sitting down a lot better. I still don't understand why it's sitting up so high. I've got a lot of adjusting to do. Yeah. So basically it's done, Eric. I just have some adjustment to do on that wire and we'll make it right. We'll get it going. It'll be all good. I think I lost my ground. I think I broke my ground. So I think what I'm going to do is run all new wires because, yep, I already broke my aux and my ground. So I'm going to run all new wires all the way to your board. That's the only way to fix this. But at any rate, you can see what it takes to fix it. It's going to be kind of crazy. I was trying to fix it with the wires that I had on there, but it's just doesn't, you know. How I normally run these is I wire the, switch PCB or the switch, the plastic housing for the switches. And then after I wire that, yeah. After I wire that, then I run the completed wires to the soundboard, continuous. So, it's a problem that they're not continuous here, obviously. So, well, I'm going to have to run some new wires here. That's all there is to it. So I'm going to have to take this whole upper apart, and what I'm going to do is I'm going to run new wires all the way to the soundboard, and then I'm going to have to replace the wires back in here so they're continuous. But yeah, that's what has to be done. Taking this upper apart's not going to be fun because I got to take all these out, all the greeblies out, and then I got to take the upper off. That way I can get the new wires back in here like I want them. And charge, at least I think, Of course I could what I could do, that doesn't want to go in there. What I could do is I just don't know if there's enough wire left on that or not. I don't think there is. So I usually, hot glue those down so that doesn't, get underneath the saber. But yeah, I think that wire is finito Mussolini. So what needs to happen is, stand by, is I need to replace all this all the way to the soundboard. Yeah, it's a joke there. So I'll take all that off. The cool part is about Proppy. Oh, hang on. I'll turn it off and I'll turn it back on. Well, we need to get to the next preset. I can't do that because it's on the battery preset right now.
The force is
There
with
we
you,
go.
young Skywalker.
So,
You're not a Jedi yet.
no switches. We can still turn it on. We can still turn it off. But we can't get all the cool effects, and we can't change presets. So, you know, I've got to get this fixed. So how am I going to do this? Well, I think I need to redo this whole thing with the wires continuous to the soundboard is going to be the appropriate fix. I mean, I could put longer wires on here and run them in here, but they need to definitely be shoved in here. The joints don't need to be near the clip. That's definitely not good. So we definitely need to fix that. So I think that's what I'm going to do. When I end this live stream tonight, I'm going to put totally new wires on this so we can run the wires up into the upper and then to the soundboard. Whoa! She turned on. But we'll get this thing fixed pretty quick and dirty. It'll be fixed quick. And stand by. I'm going to turn all this stuff off. Oh, I don't even know why that popped up. Y'all stand by. Ooh, that's horrible. Oi! You can get to see the chassis yet on what? Oh yeah, it's a night chassis. Yeah, we'll show that. So, there's the chassis. And it's just a Goth 3D night chassis. And, you know, I'm running NeoPixels in it. This is an old build. I mean, this build is what, 2 years old, 2.5 years old maybe? But it's Profi, hell, I can't even remember, 1.7, 2.2. This looks like Profi 1.5 in here, but this is an older build. And it's pretty cool, you know, pretty cool Saber. Yeah, it's just a night chassis, and you know, painted it with model paint, and off we go to the races. So yeah, I was kind of trying to get. Hang on a minute, let me see what it said there in the chat because I missed that. Okay. Yeah, I just wanted to kind of catch up on the chat there, but I mean, I don't want to be doom and gloom, and I'm not going to delete all the videos on my channel. I was always mad at Shamim for deleting all his videos because I learned so much from Shamim, and I'm like, why would you delete your videos, dude? Just leave them up there. Even if you're not going to, you know, comment on them or respond to the comments, then just turn comments off on your videos and be done with it. But sorry, Shamim, I'm not going to do that. And I'm not Shamim. I'm not comparing myself to Shamim, but I'm just saying that even though I'm going to back off and slow down on building sabers and taking commissions, you know, I'm not just going to drop my channel and delete all my videos. And I would still like to go live sometimes and build stuff. So, how did I do the rotation LED with NeoPixels? So those are NeoPixels in there. And I got them doing different things. You know, right now it's like on a Cylon cycle, but some it actually spins like a turbine. And then when you ignite the saber, you know, they go on solid like that. And when you turn it off, it just goes back into, you know, cycling like the Cylon. So yeah. Yeah, I did that with NeoPixels and Profi board. Profi boards are really fun soundboard to do things with NeoPixels with, and you know, I'm really proud of a lot of the sabers that I've built that do really cool stuff with NeoPixels, like my Mentor Graflex, and you know, all that's impossible without what is possible on the Profi OS, and I haven't lost sight of that, and I still love that. I cannot compete with China. I cannot compete with China. I can't keep, you know, my install prices so low that I'm killing myself and losing all the time for nothing. And I just can't do it. And if I were to raise my prices to what I think they're worth, nobody would come to me anyway. So at that point, I think it's best. You can either, you can either do one or two things. You can do what Solo Sabers does and just churn out a gazillion sabers with just a generic config, or you can up your price to the point where it's prohibitively expensive to get a lightsaber made. And neither one of those sound like what I want to do to compete with China. And I'm just going to back off for a bit with other people's sabers, but I'm still going to make my own. And I'm still going to do videos because I have fun doing these videos and talking to you guys. Yes, Bobby. This is the same saber that I built in parallel with yours. The ESB Graflex. It's the exact same saber. So yeah, I built those two at the same time. And that's an example of what I used to do. I used to just build sabers that I liked. And if people wanted to buy them, they could buy them. And y'all know I like Graflexes. You saw my 3 Graflexes over there in the stand tonight. My ESB, my TFA, and my A New Hope. And I love my Graflexes. And yeah, Erica, I would love to be able to do more of those videos. That's part of the thing for me is, building sabers, and there was another business venture that I was involved in that I backed out of that too. They were just eating up all my time to the point where I had zero personal time. In addition to that, I play bagpipes. I lead a bagpipe band. I'm in charge of the vessel at work, the marine vessel, and then I'm in charge of the detectives. So I'm pretty busy. And I took my son fishing, and I play ice hockey, and I got a crazy dog. So my life is really, really, really full. My plate is full. My cup runneth over. And I don't need to make money from lightsabers. And I never was really in this to make money. But when I'm losing money on projects, that's when I'm like, yeah, I'm not doing this anymore. I'm out of this. It doesn't make financial sense. I can't compete with China. That's the bottom line. But yeah, if I'm not building all these sabers my life definitely gets in the way, and it's my own choosing. And all these sabers are, they can get complicated. Even with CFX, Robert, you're not going to get away from this with CFX. CFX in competing with Profiboard has added a bunch of features that make it complicated. And if you just go on the CFX groups on Facebook, you'll see all them trying to figure out how to do this and that they saw the Profiboard do, that they've added the functionality on CFX. So there's still quite a bit of coding and complexity you can do even on CFX to make those sabers do what you want. But oh yeah, forgot. See if this is all in the works here. So I just wanted to really quick. This is Joe Reeves, MPP. I haven't forgotten about you. This saber is done. It's working. It's all working. So that saber is Mondo the Bombo. That was another project that got on hold in the middle of all this. But we'll get the Smooth Jazz family, the Dark Sabers. I'm probably shipping those off to get powder coated, and then I will be installing both of those and probably selling one of them. It will be expensive. But we'll get this Graflex switch fixed and get those wires tucked in and get the Graflex back to its owner. That's a very cool saber. I enjoy seeing it back, and when I look at my work, looking back, I'm like, I'm proud of that saber. It's it's a couple years old and it's still doing what I programmed it to do. That makes me very proud. And the switch wires are torn, but other than that, the saber is still working awesome. So we'll just get these switch wires fixed, and that saber is back in business and working awesome. And I thank you all for tuning in all the time and every week, and hopefully you keep coming back if I go live. May not be every Monday, but I'll try to go as often as possible, especially if I have content to offer. And, you know, I had content that I wanted to talk about tonight, and the last time I did, yeah, Sith Lord chassis would be awesome. The last live I did, I wanted to talk about this, and I didn't even get a chance to do it. And soldering iron tips. So, you know, this is a new tip, and this is obviously not a new tip. And use soldering tip that's in bad shape can cause you problems. And I wanted to talk about that, but we'll save that for another day. You know, powder coating depends on the job. These dark sabers are probably going to be expensive. My guess is it's going to be anywhere from $200 to $400 a hilt, depending. And I haven't got the full quote yet because I haven't even sent pictures of what I want. But yeah. So yeah, and thanks, Cole. And I did actually talk to Birch tonight, Cole, before I went live, and because a lot of what I was going through in the last couple of months. And it wasn't just one saber, it was just a plethora of things that all piled up together. And they all just add up to, I wasn't enjoying it. I mean, I was enjoying the sabers I was building, but I wasn't enjoying what's happening. I was feeling rushed, and, you know, things weren't working, like the Prop US workbench wasn't working like it should. And, you know, I went through a bunch of soundboards on my last few projects because of the Prop US workbench thing, which is now fixed. And I wish it would have been fixed before, because I wouldn't have had to put new soundboards in all those sabers. So I went through 4 soundboards and 3 lightsabers just trying to get Prop US workbench working, and it was a computer issue on my computer. It wasn't even on the Profi board or on the OS workbench. But Bobby Susanback fixed that problem. Bobby Susanback, one of my regular viewers, he actually fixed the problem with the Profi OS workbench, and that was posted on the Crucible. And you know, it was really awesome. So one of my viewers actually posted the solution to that on the Crucible, and I don't even know how he figured it out, but he did, because he was installing a saber and he figured out how to get it working, and he got it working, and it's awesome. Buy a Mac. Never. Oh man. Yeah, may the force be with you also, Smooth Jazz family. Brian Connor says, buy a Mac. BC. I know you guys love your Macs. And those Linux machines, or whatever they are, I'm just not that much of a computer nerd. My dad loves Macs. Jen loves Macs. She's got iPhones. You know, I run Droid. No iPhones for me. Yeah, Mac and Profi. I know Mac makes Profi a lot easier. And I bet y'all aren't running into the web USB interface issues like I did on PC. But as soon as Bobby fixed that on PC, I was like, it was so simple, the solution. And I plugged in the MPP, this one, and it booted up and was in web USB editor, and it hadn't been in there in months. And I was like, yes! But yeah, I run Droid and PC. I'm a PC guy. I guess that goes back to when I used to play games on PCs, but yeah. But you know, it was a weird video tonight. It was tough, but I want everybody to know, I mean, I'm not quitting building sabers. There ain't no way. I love lightsabers. No way I'm quitting this. And I'll still build sabers and sell them off, but I don't think I'm going to be taking commissions on other people's stuff anymore. It's just too much. But again, if any of my customers are worried about their sabers or whatever, me honoring the fixes, you know, if you got a problem with your saber, I'm going to fix it. Don't worry about that. I'm not quitting this at all. I'm just not going to take any new commissions anytime soon. Yeah, Zadig. Cole doesn't know what Zadig is. It's a blessing, Cole. So speaking of the Zadig, so like my Windows computer, you know, my lovely Windows computer, this lovely right here, she's been throwing, hey, you want to update to Windows 11? And I've seen all the problems that all the Profi board users are having with Windows 11, and I'm kind of like, not really. You know, let me get all these lightsabers done and fixed, and then you can update to Windows 11. But the funny thing is, like today, Commodore 64. I had a Commodore 64 too. I played F-15 Strike Eagle on floppy disk on my Commodore 64. So you're not dating yourself. I've got you beat, Eric Cadle. If you remember F-15 Strike Eagle, you'll know what I'm talking about. Remember you had to bomb the bases and they were triangle? Yeah. Rich, I get jealous watching you guys, especially now with the thin necks that the custom saber shops come out with. And, you know, I've been watching you guys, you know, building and creating so many different hilts with the new modular thin neck system from the custom saber shop. I don't know, I get back in that ball game. You know, my initial foray into lightsabers was MHS. As a matter of fact, I'll scroll up. So that's my Kylo saber. That's my first MHS saber, and then you know you've got the Nihilus up next to it. Those are all MHS, and you know MHS is definitely. I forgot to add those to my collection when I was filming my collection, but the MHS sabers are definitely near and dear to my heart because you make them how you want, and you know it's pretty cool. Yep, F-15 Strike Eagle was a huge game for me. Sith Lord chassis, probably, I would imagine, there's not too much solo Sabers hasn't accomplished. I haven't seen him miss any chassis. So my guess is that, you know, you might want to give Jeremy Puckett a push on Facebook or Solo Sabers. Solo Sabers is a great installer. He is incredible. He does great work. And he does Profi and CFX, although he prefers Profi board, but he has done CFX, Robert. But, yeah, I think we're going to call it a night there so I can go and run new wires inside of this Graflex, which is going to be way too complicated because now I got to take this whole upper off, and I don't want y'all to be watching me take all the Graflex pins out and all that boring stuff. But, you know, I'll try to go live, you know, at the very least once a month. If I've got stuff to shoot, then I'll go every week. But I don't want to feel pressure to do it. So y'all make sure you're subscribed. Make sure you hit the notification bell on my channel so that you can see if I'm going to go live. And I usually post that I'm going to go live on my Facebook. Strip Poker on Commodore 64. You nasty people. I remember those games. You guys are all dating yourselves. Brian Connor, you're old too. That's awesome. Yeah. Yeah. Well, I'm going to tune out for tonight. But thank y'all for tuning in. I really enjoyed the time with y'all in the session tonight. Sorry we didn't get that saber completely fixed, but I got to put new wires in there. Did it right anyway, rather than try and do it quick and dirty. Yep. Thank you very much, and we will see you all next week. May the force be with you, or the dark side, as it were.
Thank you, everybody, for watching, as usual. I really appreciate y'all tuning in on my channel. And as always,